What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Command and Console. My name is Jason. Today we have a brand new console to collect for. I've just gone through some storage stuff and I found my old red Nintendo Wii console. Now, I've never had the best relationship with the Nintendo Wii. I always assumed that it was more of a kind of gimmicky console, more family orientated. Didn't really have a library there that I was interested in. The idea that it was just motion controls really put me off back in the day when it came out. I never really grasped really kind of wanting to play it. My parents did want to play it because they wanted to get the Wii bowling and the Wii Fit, you know, the board, the Wii Fit board and that, and do all the exercises. They wanted to do that, so they bought it maybe about a year after it came out in 2007, and I knew that they were going to last about 2 weeks doing these Wii Fit exercises, and then that would give me ample time to see what's out there, see what there was to pick up and play. So I've got the red Wii. It is one of the original models. I've got it set up, so I won't show you the actual system, but I've got the red Wii. It does have all the GameCube controller ports and backwards compatibility. Yeah, it's quite nice actually. I like the red Wii. It looks quite cool. Got the nunchuck as well, matching in red and stuff. So yeah, so my parents bought it in 2007. They had their own one. They bought this regular white one. And I remember looking for something to buy. I'm looking for a game to pick up. And that same year, a sequel to one of my favourite Rockstar games came out. And it was Manhunt 2. This is probably the earliest memory for me for playing on the Wii. The idea that this game came out on the Wii was quite crazy to me. I think there is a PS2 port, but I think the PS2 port is quite expensive now. Manhunt 2 is probably the earliest memory for me of playing the Wii. If you don't really include Wii Sports and the Wii Fit stuff, I didn't really delve into that when my parents got the Wii back in like 2007. But this was the game I bought for myself. And it is a game that only runs with the Wii remote, unfortunately. So that's a bit of a shame. But this game plays really well. I think it actually is quite a decent sequel to Manhunt. Not as good as the first one in my opinion. I think the first one is still really decent for a Rockstar hyper-violent kind of stealth action game. This one's still pretty decent. It was censored to hell when it came out. It was banned in the UK for a good part of a year, as far as I'm aware. And they had to put a bunch of like crappy filters over the kills and stuff to make it a bit more tamer, to allow it to pass with an 18 rating. I think in the US it was put out as an adult only, and then they had to go to the ESRB and get their own changes made to be able to pass it as an M-rated game. But yeah, this game's got a very big controversy history to it. There apparently was a murder that was tied to this game, inspired by this game. But there's conflicting reports on that as well. But yeah, Rockstar had a big challenge getting this game out. But I just remember going into like, did I go into Game? I might have gone into Game in 2007 and picked this one up. The first game I bought for myself for the Wii. Yeah, it plays really well. It's a really cheap game there as well. I think I picked this up for about £3, £3 now. Really cheap game on the Wii. I found that the Wii is fairly affordable right now in 2024. Really cheap games, really hard hitting games as well that are quite cheap. Manhunt 2, I was surprised it was so cheap. I thought it'd be one of the more upper echelon titles for the Wii, but that's Manhunt 2. Next up is a game series I've never got into. I've tried my hardest to get into it. Super Smash Brothers. This is the Brawl version for the Wii. I picked this up because it was, again, really cheap, like a £5. Like, these games aren't expensive at all, so I thought, you know, why not just try again with the Super Smash Brothers series. Try again to see if I can get into them. And I thought, why not get the Wii game and just give it a go. You've got different controller options, GameCube controller, the classic controller, and the Wii Motion, of course. But yeah, never got into these games. They're like this, you know, obviously crazy party fighting games, and you know, you can like unlock stuff and mass hysteria in the game. I've always found the combat in this, the actual fighting mechanics, to be a bit toss, a bit rubbish, it's a bit too chaotic for me. I'm more into my you know, if it concerns fighting games. I'm more into my one-on-one kind of, Tekken's, Soul Caliburs, that kind of stuff. So this game is a bit, this series is a bit too chaotic for me, and I've never actually gelled with the fighting mechanics. But maybe that will change if I give this one a go. But let me know what you think about the Super Smash Bros. Series. I know it's a massive franchise. It's a system seller in most situations as well. So there's big fan base for this series. But for me, it's just, there's something about it that I'm struggling to get into the series. But this was so cheap. I thought, you know what, I'm going to build a really cool library of Nintendo exclusives for the most part. And you can't have a Nintendo exclusive library without Super Smash Bros. I suppose, in that regard. But that's Super Smash Bros. Brawl. This one is a launch title that got a lot of hate back in the day when it came out. A lot of hype behind it, and then it kind of became a bit of a dud in reality. That is Ubisoft's Red Steel. Going back to this game, it actually is not too bad. I didn't think it was as bad as people claimed it kind of is. It is kind of janky and a bit clunky to control, but my Wii remote has Wii Motion Plus built in, so it's got a bit more of a smoother motion to it, so it's a bit easier to play with that installed in the controller. But yeah, it's not too bad. I didn't hate this game. For the first stab at a first-person shooter with some sword play on the Wii, it's a decent little time, I think. A decent little time. It's not the best thing in the world, and I mean, this was 50p in CEX. Like, it's the cheaper the cheap on the Wii right now, because I don't think it sold very well. I think it sold quite well at the beginning, but it's not seen as a very valuable game or very good game nowadays. So you can get this so cheap, it's unreal. 50p at CEX this was, complete with manual. But it was a game I had back in the day, and I had to revisit it when I dug out my old Wii. So yeah, really surprised how much I actually enjoyed this one. Going back to it, it's not terrible. It's not great by any means, but it's not terrible. That's Red Steel. Speaking of Red Steel, we're going to talk about the vastly superior sequel, Red Steel 2. Now, this was one of the first games I think I remember buying that you had to have the Wii Motion Plus peripheral, the add-on, because when it first came out, it was a little kind of like little thing you plug into the controller. But then they started releasing Wiimotes that had the technology built in. So I remember trying to hunt down a Wii Motion Plus add-on when I got this game back in the day. But since I've got that red Wii, it's built into the controller, which is always nice. This game is vastly superior to the first game. They've got the combat down pat. It feels great to play. It's completely unrelated to the first game. It's got this more kind of like samurai western vibe to it. It kind of gives me a bit of a Borderlands vibe. Like if they come back and was like, yeah, it's in the Borderlands, universe, I wouldn't be surprised. It's got that vibe to it, that Borderlands vibe, where you're fighting gangs and you're trying to wipe out these gangs in this little like kind of western town. Really fun game, really good. They nailed the combat in this one. The sword play is serviceable. It's not amazing, but it's serviceable. It feels much better than the first game, and the shooting just feels really cool as well. I do like the Wiimote for aiming. I think it just feels great to aim with it and stuff. That is Red Steel 2, a much better sequel than the first game, a much better game in general, and yeah, I think it's one of the Wii's better games in my opinion. That's Red Steel 2. The final game I'm going to show you today is probably the best of the bunch in my opinion. It might be one of the best games on the system. Bear in mind, I haven't played its sequel yet, so that may change if I play the sequel. I'm talking about Super Mario Galaxy. This might just be my favourite 3D Mario title ever. And I've been playing it recently. I've been playing it quite a lot recently, and it's absolutely fantastic. I adore this game. I adore it. I've got this like HD converter for my Wii that plugs into the back, so I'm playing most of these games in their HD TV supported modes, where you can play them up to 480p. This game looks fantastic even now. Think about it, this game, I think it came out in like 2007. It's getting on with age now, this game, but it still looks fantastic. It plays fantastic. The motion control stuff is minimal and muted, but it's there. But it's not hampering down the experience. It's there for utility and only for utility. It really does work really well. I'm loving this game. I think it's fantastic. The way you're going to different galaxies and you're almost going on different planets where you kind of got to go around a globe and you go upside down, and the way you tackle certain puzzles and boss fights is just fantastic. It's awesome. I've not played Galaxy 2 yet. That is definitely on the list to get that one. I'm interested to see how they implement Yoshi in that game. But for so far, for 3D Mario titles, Galaxy is my favourite. This game is just, I don't know, it's so nice to just chuck on the game and just get lost in its just perfect, design and platform, just fun. I can't remember the last game where I just booted it up and just got lost in how fun it is. You just want to play the next level, the next level, the next level. This is one of those games for me. It's fantastic. I love it. The Super Mario Galaxy is it. That's my Wii. I got the red one. It's the basic model from 2006. I might get some GameCube games maybe down the line to play on it, but GameCube's getting really, really pricey now. I'd love to get the Resident Evil games on GameCube. I'd love to get like the Resident Evil 2 port and the Resident Evil 3 port just to play them at higher resolutions. I'd love to get those, but they're like £50 games on their own, just each of them. They're really not cheap, which is a shame. But yeah, I might get some GameCube games for it to play backwards compatibility. I actually really enjoy this control scheme. I've gotten used to it. It feels really, really comfortable in your hands as well. And like I said, some of the games I've played on the Wii so far, the motion control aspect have been quite minimal and more utility wise, like Mario Galaxy. Even games like Manhunt 2, you do use a lot of the motion for the kill animations and stuff, but for the most part it's not relied on that too much, and it is pretty good. And if you get towards the end of the game, you get guns and stuff, so you're aiming. But I feel like aiming with the remote is actually really, really responsive and really, really cool. I'm looking forward to getting more of the light gun titles down the line, and maybe some more of the obscure first person shooters. Games like The Conduit, for example, I really want to get that. I really enjoyed that one back in the day. New console to collect for in 2024. I keep doing this. I got a PSP like a few weeks ago, and I'm just having fun going back to these game consoles that I used to have as a kid or grew up with, and rediscovering. And the Wii is definitely one that I'm rediscovering, guys, because it wasn't a console I really cared for when it came out. I was a big into the PS3 and 360 back in that generation. The Wii was never really a console I played at all. I've got memories of certain games like Manhunt 2 and Super Mario Galaxy, for example, but when it comes to like actually really discovering the system and actually delving into its library, I'm looking forward to really discovering what this console can do and what games it has. But yeah, as it stands, I'm currently playing Mario Galaxy and I'm actually having a blast with it. It's really, really fun. But yeah, and it's so cheap as well. The Wii is so cheap right now, guys, to collect for. And I'm really actually having fun discovering what games are on the system. But that is it, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the Nintendo Wii, and do you collect for it? What are your favourite games on the system? And was you all about it when it came out back in 2006? Was you one of those early adopters that got on it for the Nintendo titles more so than the casual kind of family orientated titles? My parents definitely bought one for that, Wii Sports and Wii Fit stuff, and tried to keep up with their daily Wii Fit exercises. But that, for me, I knew it was going to be a gimmick that they would have given up with within a couple of weeks, and they did, and the console was left to me to play until they sold it and I got my own one. But anyway, I'm rambling. As always, guys, let's continue to build the Nintendo Wii collection.